Okay, so now Dr. Fauci says now is the time to do what you're told.
Hello, this is Karen.
And this is Kevin.
And this is Right From Us. That Dr. Fauci, I'm so sick of him. So there's no more Mr. Nice Guy from him, I guess. Now he's like, just do as you're told. Just, I say so. So you do as you're told.
Yeah, he said that apparently in a roundtable discussing the lockdowns that are happening in Europe and, the potential lockdowns that could be happening soon in the United States. And he was just saying, now's the time that you just need to do what you're told.
I mean, true. Cases, there are a lot of cases, but we knew this was going to happen. I mean, it's flu and cold season, so who knows how many of these cases are actually COVID and actually influenza and colds.
I guess one of the big concerns is the hospitalizations are way up. So and the question I keep asking and I've always had is, are the hospitalizations people that are there because of the virus, or they just were there for something else and they just have the virus?
And tested positive for COVID.
Yeah. That's a question I would like to know.
And I guess also my question is, yes, there are a lot of cases. Yes, there have been a lot of admissions with COVID-related cases. So why can't we, kind of like a MASH unit in war, just erect temporary shelters for the overflow and keep America going instead of locking down like we did at the very beginning in New York?
Yeah, I mean, they had all these, the hospital ships and
right.
And the centers in New York that were all converted over to hospitals. What happened to that idea? Is that out the window now, or what? It's like now we're just talking about lockdowns again.
Right, exactly. Instead of locking down, let's just treat the overflow.
And these lockdowns really, really hurt a lot of people.
Definitely.
It's really hurts small businesses big time.
Yeah, I went and got my hair done today, and the salon that I go to is two women. They're very good friends. They've worked together for a long time. And, I was, the first time we locked down, they were, what was it, 6-8 weeks that they weren't allowed to even open at all?
Yeah.
And now that there's talk of lockdown again, they're kind of bracing themselves. And I said, so how are you guys doing? And she said, well, not very well. I said, what do you mean? She goes, we're going to have to close our doors. December 19th is our last day. She says, we just got tired of always wondering if we were going to have a job the next day. She goes, we wanted to go someplace where there's some security. So unfortunately, they're going to have to give up their dream and go work for someone else just so they have the security of having a job every day. Can you imagine how stressful it would be not to know if you're going to have a job?
There are a lot of businesses, small businesses, that are still just right on the edge because of the lockdowns and
right.
the stuff that's happened after that. Restaurants, they're only allowed 50% occupancy. And you can't. I worked in the restaurant industry before. You can't make it. And I don't know what these city leaders are thinking. They must not have ever run a small business before. A lot of times you're just right on the very edge anyway. And when you have the government come in there and say you can't run at full capacity, it just will kill you.
I mean, we went out to dinner last night for a steak dinner, and it was delicious, by the way. It was really good steak.
For your birthday?
For our birthday, because his birthday is coming up as well. Our birthdays are like 9 days apart. Different years, but 9 days apart, because he's older, by the way.
What?
So anyway, we went to the dinner, and it was really nice. But it was weird, obviously, because we don't go out to eat very often. One, because it's just weird with all the mask ordinances and restrictions.
Yeah, you have to wear a mask from the front door to 10 feet away to the table. Then it's okay to take a mask.
Because apparently COVID, there's a table, so I won't penetrate that table bubble.
And you got a fan blowing the air around. It's crazy.
It's absolutely asinine.
But at least they're open.
But they were definitely running half capacity. There were every other table was blocked off, and you could tell that the staff they did have working were just running their butts off because they weren't fully staffed. They can't afford to be fully staffed. But, going back to those girls at the hair salon, I mean, it was just sad. It made me want to cry because they were just sad that they're having to give this up and go do something else because they just can't afford to stay open. They can't afford the gamble of potentially being closed down again is basically what it boiled down to.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a country where the government can just come in and say, well, you're not considered essential, so, you're going to have to close.
I think that's scary and sad.
You're not going to be able to make any money.
Right.
Sorry. We'll give you this stimulus money.
Which apparently comes out of thin air because someone's got to pay for that bill, but nobody talks about that part. At some point,
that's going to have to be paid back. So anyway, there was a Gallup poll yesterday that they asked people about the lockdowns, and less than half the people said that they would actually comply with a lockdown if it happened again.
I mean, I guess one part of me says, okay, we just need to stand up and say, nope, we're not doing it anymore. But who really suffers for that decision? It's not really us as people, it's the businesses, because then they're just going to fine the businesses for not complying.
Right. It's the small businesses that really get hit
it's just
with
not
these
fair.
things because they'll take away their business license, or they'll make a $10,000 per day fine. The same thing that happened to churches. They fined them like $10,000 a week when they were open.
We're heading down a scary road, people.
It really is.
And then, and Fauci is saying that, this could easily extend into 2021 and perhaps even 2022. I mean, especially if Biden's in office.
Well, Biden's chief, Biden's got his panel now of COVID experts, and his chief expert, can you say chief? His chief expert was saying...
You racist. All the Indians out there going, racist!
Is saying that he's encouraging a 4 to 6 week lockdown immediately.
Yeah, we heard that one before. Been there, done that. Now we're going on a year, almost a year. Can you believe that, people? It's been almost a year since this whole nightmare started. Because, they're saying that it actually started in December of 2019, aren't they? It just didn't become widely known until March.
Right.
Of what was happening. But, the vaccine's coming. Help's on the way, dear. You going to get the vaccine?
Yeah, how exact? No, I'm not going to. How are they going to police that? Are they going to make you wear like an armband or something that shows that you've had the vaccine? I saw yesterday, apparently Ticketmaster is going to require, Ticketmaster where you the concert tickets, they're going to require some sort of proof of the vaccine or that you've had the virus, or I guess a virus test, in order to purchase a ticket for a concert.
Okay, let me ask you this. If this was a serious disease and the death rate was much higher than it is now, I could kind of see that. I could kind of see going to that extreme for something serious. And by serious, I mean like half the people that contract this die. That's serious. That's big, right? Or you get it and your symptoms are horrific. I can kind of understand that. But for this, when it's been scientifically proven that the death rate is pretty minimal for people under 65.
Actually, under the age of 70, it's like a 0.5% survival rate. And over the age
survival rate or death rate?
0.5%. No, death rate.
I was going to say, that's not good.
It's 99. Yeah. Well, that would be bad.
Bring those bracelets on.
It's 99.5% survival rate.
Right.
And for over the age of 69, it's like 99 point.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I guess my point is I don't have a problem doing something like that, like wearing a bracelet or having some kind of papers or anything like that to show if we were battling a disease that was deadly and dangerous, but we are not. We are battling a disease that is a little more serious than influenza, but it's not the Black Plague.
Yeah, it really has about the same death rate as the flu.
Yeah.
At this point.
Right. So once again, they're erring on the side of caution to appease a large portion of people who are fearful, and they're remaining fearful because the rhetoric is designed to make people stay fearful. So I think that once again we are going overboard on this, and once again we're setting a precedence for future issues, and we're getting everybody used to the idea of having something to show that you've done something, that you've complied with whatever they want you to do. And
Yeah.
I think that's a scary precedent.
It's really
to set.
all about control at this point.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
you got to wear a
100%.
mask. You're going to have your proof of vaccine.
Right.
Are they going to require the vaccine? That's another question. Like, how the polio vaccine's required. Is it going to be a
Well,
required thing?
They told us at the hospital.
For you, definitely it's going to be required.
Well,
because
I work at the hospital. For those of you that don't know, I'm a medical assistant for neurosurgery. But they actually came out. We actually had a meeting about this the other day, and they said that the vaccine is supposed to be available for healthcare workers beginning December 1st, I believe they said, and we are not required to take it because we're kind of down the ladder of essential.
You're not required?
We're not required. We have the option of taking it if we want to, but we are not required to take it to continue working. Now, they didn't say if you decide not to take it, you have to continue wearing a mask. I'm okay with that. If it means not getting the vaccine and wearing a mask, I'm okay with that. I'll wear a mask.
So what are they going to do about, at this point, 10 million people have had it in the United States, supposedly had the virus.
Yeah.
What are they going to do when everybody's had a vaccine and everybody's had the virus? Are they going to say, well, no more masks required?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
I
Good
would
question.
Hope, well, I would hope they
Hope
say
so.
that, but I feel like at that point everybody's so used to wearing a mask that asking them to continue wearing it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with wearing a mask. If you're sick, if you got the flu or a cold, that's great actually. Wear a mask.
I don't have a problem with that either. My problem is that we're getting people used to something. You know what I mean? Like we're
getting them used to the government being able to tell you to do
Yes.
something.
Yes, that's what
that's
I'm trying
so
to say.
arbitrary and really has no. It's disputed scientifically.
Oh, don't get me started on science. I have a lot of thoughts on the science of things, but anyway.
So anyway, we're about almost 2 weeks after the election here.
Yep. And the media has taken it upon themselves to de-Biden the president, which they have no legal right to do, by the way, but everybody is thinking they do, I guess. This shows you how much power the
And they
media
get
has
really
over
upset
us.
when
Oh my gosh, they go
anybody
ballistic.
challenges that.
They go absolutely
There's
ballistic.
six states right now, six or seven states that are still counting or being disputed or being sued. So, I mean, it's not over yet. It's definitely an uphill climb for the president at this point. It's not over, though.
It's not over, and I don't know if Trump can pull this off, because if he can pull this off, then he is going to be one of the biggest magicians in the history of mankind.
If anybody can do it, he can do it.
Yes.
I just, sometimes I wonder about if he's got the right people working on it. I love Rudy Giuliani, but I'm not sure he's the right guy sometimes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of scary that we're putting so much trust in these individuals. We're hoping that they're good and they know what they're doing. But regardless of the outcome, I think that Trump had no choice but to dispute this, because if for no other reason than for future elections, they had to come up.
They got to get this squared away.
Yes.
This mail-in thing is just so.
It's out of control. And this software glitch.
It's a disaster.
It's out of control. So all of these legitimate questions, if nothing else, those legitimate questions warrant an investigation, just so that we're not wondering every time there's an election if it's legit or not, or did they cheat, because
At this point, I don't think anybody's ever going to trust election results again. At this point, if they don't get this stuff sorted out, nobody's ever going to trust the results
get
of an
this
election.
stuff sorted out
Shorted.
or sorted out.
Shorted. Get this sorted out. Get these computers, software shorts.
Yeah, and here's why it's so important to make sure that we get to the bottom of these questions and discrepancies, because if we continue on the path that we're on now, then what is the use of a voter? The voters just become obsolete. There's no use. We're going to end up with whomever
The
they
news
want.
media wants.
Right.
Whoever the news media wants
Right.
is the president.
Exactly.
Essentially.
So that's why it's so important that we investigate this and get to the bottom of this, because future elections depend on it. And I don't want Biden as our president, but I am definitely not going to be throwing myself onto the floor and screaming to the heavens if he actually ends up winning this. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go along with it, but we need to find out if there has actually been fraud and software issues. I mean, there's glitches, but then there's issues coming
So
up
do
where
you think-
votes have been changed and that sort of thing.
Do you think Trump supporters fear Biden presidency?
Fear? I don't fear it. I'm definitely concerned. You know, Biden has said from day one he's going to eliminate the President Trump's tax cuts and re-implement the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, and also what else?
Well,
From day one, he's going to. I had that right here. Dang it.
Trump supporters fear that the enactment of Biden's platform will negatively impact the future of the country. I agree with that. Whereas Biden supporters strongly disagree. They're full of hope that Biden's policies will positively transform America and eventually eliminate many of the social problems that they perceive to be causing severe social injustice. What
Yeah, you know,
social problems?
Well, I mean the perceived racism, but that's always just brought up by the Democrats. You know, it got worse and worse and worse under Obama. You know, he was supposed to be a uniter, but he just did nothing but divide the country
Absolutely.
racially. And it's like there's racism, but it is so. There are
Not
a few
to the
racist
extent
people
that
out
they're
there.
trying to portray it.
Not every white person
No.
is a white supremacist.
I mean,
you know,
when's the last time you saw a Ku Klux Klanman walking around? I mean, really?
there are people out there
Yeah,
that
but
believe
it's
that
very
stuff.
small.
It's not.
And you're never going to get rid of that entirely. I mean, that's just people being people. But the social problems that they perceive to be severe were actually caused by them.
They just keep stirring the pot.
Oh, they absolutely do. I mean, we wouldn't be as divided as we are today if the liberals had not gone to so much trouble to divide us in the last 4 years.
That's just one of the tactics of the left, though. They use, you know, racism and other things to cause chaos, you know, and that's how they get into power. The other thing that President that Biden has said that he's going to do from day one is get back into the Paris Climate Accord. You know, so they're.
You're going to have to explain that one to me. I'm not sure I know what that is.
Well, I don't know all the details about it, but one of the big things that the left is always going for is the carbon tax. Basically, it's just another tax that they're trying to implement. You know, so if you have a car that has so many, you know, X amount of horsepower, you'll pay X amount more in tax to pay for the carbon that's being emitted into the atmosphere.
So basically, they do that to discourage you from buying a car that they don't want you to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on that. These electric cars out there, they're powered by coal-fired plants, and you have to have a steam shovel to dig up the metal and the lithium for the batteries and
Yeah,
that sort of
that's
thing.
true.
So you can't have a electric-powered steam shovel.
I mean, the idea of an electric car is pretty awesome.
I would love it.
But they just haven't worked out the logistics yet. I mean, who has time to stand there or wait around for an hour while your car charges so you can continue on another 20 miles? I mean,
Well, they have a range of 400 miles. It's like, who would even buy one of those things? If you ever wanted to travel, you couldn't travel in it.
I mean, not unless
Does you know somebody that has one?
the doctor I work for has a Tesla, but I'm pretty
Does he?
sure he doesn't drive it
He
long
doesn't drive it?
distances.
It's like, why would you spend? I mean, they're like $150,000 cars. Why would you
I don't know.
buy that?
I mean-
buy a car that you can't even
I
drive?
mean, once again, I think that this fundamentally showcases how different we are from the left, is that the left have all these great ideas And I'm not disputing some of these ideas are awesome. Like the electric car, for instance, that's a pretty awesome idea. If we can save on fuel, that would be awesome. But they always have these great ideas and then never fully realize them. They're so idealistic that they're not realistic in their, you know what I'm saying, in their proposals or their solutions.
Well,
Does that make sense?
green energy just isn't there yet. I mean, there's no way you can. I mean, obviously, you can't have an airplane that works on
Right.
electricity. There's
Right.
no such thing. You have to have jet fuel, and
Right.
you have to have bulldozers and steam shovels to dig up the iron ore to make steel. You don't. There's no electric steam shovel or bulldozer.
And I'm not saying that it's not worth pursuing. I mean, it's a great idea, and let's pursue it and study it more. But to try to mass produce it and force people to get into this idea without it being fully realized and logistically worked out, it's just not realistic. I don't know. It's crazy. But I think
Anyway.
that's the fundamental difference between the left and right is, apparently we want all the same things. We want a happy family. We want our health. What are some other things that we can agree upon? We want to be comfortable in our life. We want a happy and healthy family.
We all, I think, we definitely want the same end result, but how to get there is
It's
definitely
vastly different.
Yeah, it's like I want a peanut butter sandwich, but they want a sandwich made out of glass.
Right.
It's like it doesn't. They're just incompatible. So, anyway, Biden's calling for unity now. He says in his real soft voice, we
Yeah.
need unity.
Because he's the declared winner, so he can afford to say he wants unity now.
Yeah, I mean, what happened over the last 12 years of talking about unity?
And it's so frustrating when they ask for, or they demand for unity. Yeah, I would love to live peacefully with my neighbors, and I would love to get along and sing kumbaya and have a great existence.
It's unity as long as we agree with them.
Exactly. I mean, they're the ones that have just gone out of their way to divide the country in the last 4 years. You can't continue to call people racist, and you can't continue to make a problem out of nothing, basically, and then call for unity later after you've already stirred up all this pot. We're not anywhere close to being unified, and we probably won't be for a very long time unless we get some leaders in there that stop this rhetoric and work on bringing us all together, not tearing us down and putting us into groups and labeling us.
Yeah, there was a video. Biden supporters were celebrating unity, and then they were kicking and beheading a Trump statue or doll.
See, and that's what I'm talking about.
like-
You can't do that kind of stuff and then call for unity. That I don't understand why they don't see that. You can't act that way and behave that way and label people and put them in categories and then say, well, I don't understand why we're not a united country. Because you're not allowing us to be united. You're pitting us against each other, and that's not unity. And that's when you continue to shove that rhetoric down people's throats and make them believe that there's something out there that's not, like the police are big bad people and they're out to get you.
Yeah, like there's something wrong with us
What?
because we are, we've got white privilege or whatever.
Holy cow, that is
So anyway,
insulting.
There
that
was
they say that.
today there was the Million MAGA March in Washington D.C.
I saw pictures. I mean, there were a lot of people. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
don't know
you
if
could
it
say
was
there was a
million.
million people, but there were a lot of people.
There was also the competing protest. Apparently, there was Biden supporters there too. So I haven't seen the news reports on that yet. So I don't.
So you don't know how many Biden supporters
No,
were there, or
I
if
don't
they
know.
got violent or anything.
I
'Cause-
haven't seen anything.
And by the way, look this up, but all those people there supporting Trump, there wasn't one building burned, there wasn't anybody killed, there wasn't any kind of riot. I mean, that is a protest, or that is a demonstration. I don't know if you can really call what they did a protest, but that's the proper way to do it. And by the way, that reminds me of something else we were going to talk about. Why are people so angry? Like you read comments online or on videos or articles. My gosh, people are so angry.
it really has. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse with everybody. Just
Well, that's another example of how they're not uniting us. They're
Yeah.
further dividing
don't
us.
you think that social media definitely has a part in that?
Oh,
And
100%.
I think part of the problem is, you can have somebody that's a PhD posting something on Twitter, and then some like a 12-year-old kid can respond.
Just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
no,
that's part
I
of the
totally
problem
agree.
is it's just not really.
Well, everybody feels brave behind their computers.
Yeah.
There's no accountability or consequence for those words. But that further demonstrates how we're in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to being united. Because there's just so much hatred out there. And I realize that part of that is because people are stressed out and tired of this stupid COVID stuff. They're tired of the restrictions.
That's definitely made it
so
worse.
I think that definitely has made it worse.
I think that the one thing that really unites people is opportunities.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, who did more for opportunities and helping people out financially than President Trump?
Right.
Over the last 4 years. I mean, look at the economy. It
Well, that's
was
why he
awesome
had-
until the virus hit. But
I don't know what percentage of people, of Black Americans, voted for him, but it was
up
quite a lot.
I think they said 30%. Was
And
it
that's
30%?
primarily because they saw that President Trump implemented a lot of programs designed to help African Americans.
That's how you unite people right there.
Right, exactly.
I mean, more African Americans and Hispanics voted for President Trump than any
Right.
other Republican
Right.
ever.
So the fact that Biden's in there calling for unity is pretty laughable. And then on like Whoopi Goldberg, my gosh, cannot stand her, by the way. But she's out there spouting, well, people just need to get over it. Biden's the president, get over it. Well,
Yeah, well, they didn't
Why-
get over it for.
they're still not over it. They're still not over the fact that Trump won over Hillary. So it's just calling the kettle black, and it's just so frustrating that they're out there spouting this, and yet in the very same breath they're causing it. So I don't know.
So, what'd you do today?
I wrote a lot. I'm still trying to do National Novel Writing Month, and I'm about 20,000, no, almost 25,000 words in. So I wrote a lot. Got my hair done. How about you?
We went treasure hunting.
Tell people out there that I don't think they know what. I mean,
I-
they probably think you're out panning
I
for
have
gold or
I have
something.
an uncle that is disabled, and he gets disability, but we have a flea market booth to make some extra money. So we go treasure hunting together, all over the place. And today we actually went to a town nearby, and it was kind of funny because recently that town mayor just unilaterally did an executive order to
Oh,
require
yeah.
masks, and on the front door of most of the stores it says the city of, I won't say the city, requires. No, the city wants you to wear a mask.
Yeah.
They didn't say you need to wear a mask.
Right.
It says the city wants you to wear a mask.
So
It was kind of funny.
clearly saying that we don't support this, and we're only doing this because our mayor is making you do it, basically.
Yeah. So anyway, we did that, and then I went to a pizza buffet, and then came home and took a nap for about an hour. It was pretty nice.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
And when you say treasure hunting, he means he goes to thrift stores and garage sales and flea markets and that kind of thing, looking for unusual and cool things for cheap. And then he turns around and puts them in his booth and resells them. And you've had some pretty good success with that, right?
Yeah, it's been great. It's really pretty good. I mean, it's in some ways providing a service because people
Yeah,
go
that's
there
true.
to get deals on things they need.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it provides a
talk about-
service, and then we make a little bit of money. So it's good and help out my uncle.
So Leroy has a pretty good eye for that, doesn't he, on finding stuff?
Yeah, he's disabled, and sometimes he picks out things. It's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
But then it sells. I mean, the stuff he
Well-
picks out sells, and it's kind of
And
curious.
then a lot of times you walk by things and he sees it and you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely having two sets of eyes to
Yeah.
find stuff. Because like today, I walked right by this old something that we like to buy, and I didn't even see it. And then he said, "Did you see that?" Whatever
Yeah.
it was. So
I really
anyway.
admire that you guys do that because I see what I just look at it and see junk. You
Yeah.
see the potential. And I think that's pretty cool. that you can do that. So
anyway,
okay, well, I guess we're going to wrap this up, guys. Thanks again for listening, and I apologize for any technical glitches that you may have seen.
That line right there. What is that line? See that line right there? On
I think
this-
that's just
or maybe that.
I think that's the reflection of the light, because when you turn it a certain way, that goes away. So,
Okay.
Anyway, so apologize for any technical glitches. We're working on it. We'll get better. So
All right.
anyway, thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.